I started medical school and a small business within a month of each other, and I pretty quickly realized that I was not great at managing my time. And when my dog looked me in the eyes and threatened to take herself back to the animal shelter, I knew that I had to either adapt or let something go. Thankfully, I fixed my problem with a sticky note, and I'm going to show you exactly how. The first tip to help you get some more productive hours in your day is to only do things that are going to get you tangibly closer to your goal. Now, this is a modified teaching from the Pareto principle, which I first discovered in the book, The 80-20 Principle by Richard Koch. Roughly put, it says that about 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Let me say that again. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. To me, that means that only about 20% of my time is actually high yield, and the rest is kind of wasteful. Now, the idea here is not to work like 1/5 as hard as you previously were, but the idea is to do less of the 80% wasteful activity and more of the 20% high yield activity. When you're trying to maximize your time, ask yourself this: what is the least effective thing that I do towards achieving my goal, and what do I do that actually moves the needle? For medical school, I was taking notes in lectures and reading through PowerPoint slides multiple times. Did it help me learn? Sure. But did it take forever, and was I still having to go back and relearn the material? Absolutely. Wasteful. So I scrapped those practices and replaced them with what I was already doing that I knew got me good results. For medical school, this looked like flashcards and pre-made practice questions. For my business, it looks like product development, delegating tasks, and helping with marketing efforts. Everyone's 20% high yield will look different, even if the goals are similar. But the important part is that you find out what actually moves the needle for you in all the areas of life that you want to be successful in, and you focus on doing more of those and less of the busy work. So make a list of all the things that you do to be the best version of yourself, and then sit down and figure out which of those are actually making a noticeable difference in your performance. If they're not, stop doing them and focus on the things that are yielding results. Now, it's going to be hard to let go of certain things that you do, and you're going to have an emotional attachment to a lot of those. But if I had to guess, I would say that that emotional attachment is likely why you're still doing some of those more wasteful activities. And I know whenever I looked back at multiple aspects of my life, that was certainly the case. Now that you know the things that you should be including on your to-do list, let me show you how I organize mine. My biggest struggle was thinking that I could do more in a day than I physically had time for. My to-do list would be like small novels, and I wouldn't even get through 3/4 of it, regardless how long I worked. So after some experimenting, I figured out a formula that allows me to be competitive professionally, but it also allows me to be present for the things that are more important in life to me, like family, friends, and my faith. To do this, I organize my list into 3 columns based on how long I expect a task to take me. Whether that be less than 1 hour, 1 hour, or greater than 1 hour. For example, I know that I have some laundry to do. I've got to fold some clothes, and that usually takes me about 20 to 35 minutes. That's going to go under the less than 1 hour column. And I know that for medical school, I have to do some Anki flashcards, and that usually takes me about an hour. And I also know I have a team meeting with the rest of the IFD team, and that usually takes us about 2 hours. So you can assign those to the respective columns. But the real magic comes in limiting your workday to 10 guesstimated hours. This is going to keep you from getting in that horrible lingo of, I have so much to do that I'm just going to check my phone, that we all kind of fall prey to. And to do this, I estimate every task, like doing my laundry, that falls under the less than 1 hour column as taking me 30 minutes. I estimate every task that's under the 1 hour column is 1 hour, and every task that's under the greater than 1 hour column has taken me 2 hours of my time. So following those rules, I only allow myself 10 hours of planned activities for a day. Now, in all honesty, this usually looks more like 12 hours once you factor in things like driving, eating, and accidental underestimations. But sometimes I finish everything in 8 hours, and I have time to chill out or work on a new passion project. To make sure that I stay on task and on time, I pick one item on the list, I set a timer, and I get to work. Once it's done, I check that item off the list and I see how long it took. If there's a noticeable difference between my guesstimated time and how long it actually took me, then that's something that I'll take into account the next time that I plan my day or that specific activity. There's something that's just so inherently satisfying about checking items off of a to-do list. But completely finishing a to-do list, I don't know, maybe I'm a nerd, but that gives me just an overwhelming feeling of accomplishment. It makes me feel like I'm getting closer to the big goals in my life, like becoming a doctor, having a successful business, and being a good husband. But you cannot do that if you're not realistic about your time and intentional with your efforts. Now, a couple caveats for this way of organizing include small tasks, random tasks, and extra tasks, and that is what the bottom row of my sticky note is for. For small tasks that are going to take you less than 5 minutes, like taking out the trash, just do them as soon as you think of them. Don't fill up a to-do list with things you could immediately cross off, and definitely do not guesstimate taking your vitamins as taking 30 minutes of your time. For random tasks that pop up in the middle of the day, I want you to put on your hyperbolic white coat and let's triage the tasks. We're going to be using the Eisenhower principle and looking at tasks as urgent, meaning time sensitive, and important, meaning does it really matter if I get this done? This principle was originally developed by Dr. J. Roscoe Miller, but it was popularized by President Eisenhower, hence its name. So to organize random tasks that pop up, we're going to be assigning them to 2 different categories. Is it urgent? If it's not, put it in that bottom row of your sticky note so that you can assign it a proper time to be completed tomorrow or the next day. Then ask yourself, is this task even important? And if it's not important, just don't do it. But if the task is urgent and it's important, do it immediately. And if this task is not urgent, but it is important, then that's when you throw it in that bottom column to be completed tomorrow. I'm showing the urgent important matrix on the screen, and if it feels a little bit harsh to you, it does to me too. It's hard for me to see a task and say it's not that important, but then just completely discard it out of my life. I think the main intent of this principle was to help run businesses and I guess countries. But if you can inject even an ounce of this triage into your day, you'll notice that you'll finally be able to finish your list. You'll quit getting derailed by all these random tasks that pop up, and some of the chaos of life will melt away as you make a habit of finishing what you set out to accomplish each and every day. For extra tasks that you want to complete each day, but you've already hit your 10-hour daily max, I always find the least urgent task and throw it into the bottom row to be completed tomorrow. Occasionally, you'll find a task that just perpetually lives in that bottom row to be done at a later date, and that usually tells you that that task is not as important as you think. And it may be the case that you shouldn't do it at all. Now, it's very difficult to be this prudent and this intentional with your time, and I'm not always perfect with it either, but I want to challenge all of us, myself included, to complete our to-do list perfectly for the next 30 days. And let's see what changes in our lives as a result of that. Comment below how those 30 days of intentionality helped your life, and maybe I'll make a video on what those 30 days did for me. Thanks for walking with me, and I will see you in the next one.